Hello, guys, and welcome back to Teaching English to Kids, a journey of fun learning. I'm your host, Paola Pando. Over the past 12 episodes, we've explored everything from storytelling and music to learning centers and the inductive approach. But what are the foundational, timeless principles that tie all these strategies together? What are the core ideas that every teacher of young learners should have in their toolkit, regardless of their specific curriculum and context? Today, in episode 13, we are distilling decades of collective wisdom into 10 powerful, practical ideas. We are drawing from a seminal article that probably you have read before by Teaching English to Young Learners expert Dr. Joan Kang Shin. The name of the article is 10 Helpful Ideas for Teaching English to Young Learners, and we will be connecting each principle to the neuroscience and linguistics that explain why these work so well. This is the ultimate checklist for creating a joyful, effective, and brain-friendly classroom for our young learners. As usual, let's recap what we have discussed so far and the foundation principles. Before we dive into the list, let's remember a key point from the article. Starting English early isn't a magic bullet. Proficiency depends on the quality of instruction. As Dr. Shin notes, factors like the type of program and curriculum, the number of hours and techniques, and the activity used are what truly matter. Our focus today is on maximizing that quality with these 10 wonderful ideas. Those ideas summarize very well what we have been working so far. So that is nothing new for us if you have been following this podcast. Okay, let's explore these 10 ideas, moving from the concrete to the collaborative. So we are going to group the ideas into 3. So ideas from 1 to 3, they are connected to in the moment classroom toolkit. What is the first principle? Supplement activities with visuals, realia, and movement. Something that we have discussed largely in this podcast. This principle directly targets the way the young brain learns. As Scott and Yetper noted, children understand through hands and eyes and ears. I always tell this to my pre-service teachers of English because when you present information and work what you want to teach in your classroom, what you have to do is to present that information. They have to see the information, they have to listen to, and they have to touch. See, you have to work on this triangle idea. Why? Because according to the neuroscience, multisensory input, seeing a puppet, for example, visual, touching a real apple, like tactile, realia, and acting out, eating, see that kinesthetic idea, creates multiple neuron pathways to the same vocabulary, making recall faster and more durable. What about you as a teacher? Don't just show a flashcard of an apple. See, bring in a real apple, let them touch it, smell it, use a puppet to eat the apple. See, you have to use multisensory experiences because they make the word apple unforgettable. What is the second principle that is connected to this classroom toolkit that you may have? Number 2 involves students in making visuals and realia. See, this builds on the generating effect, a cognitive phenomenon where information is better remembered if it is generated from one's own mind rather than simply read. When a child draws a bear for a story, they are personal generating and investing in that learning material. See? So what do you have to do? For example, before reading, Goldilocks, have students create simple pencil puppets. They are not just doing arts and craft. They are pre-learning the characters and taking ownership of the story. That increases engagement and care for the materials or resources they have created. And the third principle, and then the last from this group, move from activity to activity. This is a direct response to the developmental reality of short attention spans. We know that our students, they don't have a long attention span. So we need to move from activity to activity. Why is that? Because the brain's prefrontal cortex, responsible for focus, is still developing in young children. Changing activities every 5 or 15 minutes respects this neurology and prevents cognitive overload and boredom, something that we sometimes face in our classrooms. What do you have to do as a teacher? You have to plan a lesson rhythm. For example, follow a lively song, 5 minutes. With a quiet drawing activity next, 10 minutes. Then a quick pair game, 5 minutes. See, this variation in pace and a skill keeps the brain alert and engaged. So these are the 3 first ideas connected to classroom toolkit. Ideas from 4 to 6. These ideas are connected to the structural framework. Principle 4, you have to teach in themes. You have to use topics. Thematic teaching creates a semantic network in the brain. When vocabulary, stories, and songs are connected around a central topic like the farm, the brain finds them together, creating a robust web of knowledge. This makes retrieval easier because one idea naturally triggers another one. What do you have to do? What's the tip for you? Build a week-long unit, in this case on the farm. So by reading The Little Red Hen, singing Old MacDonald's, label animals in a poster or an infographics, depends on the level of your students, doing TPR activities, acting like different farm animals, creating masks. So in that case, you integrate principle 2. The language is constantly being recycled in this case and reinforced in a meaningful context. We have mentioned this recycling and reinforcing cycle before. See, that is the way we can consolidate acquisition in our brain. Number 5, use stories and context familiar to students. This leverages schema theory. Children have existing mental frameworks for stories and experiences from their first language. By using a familiar story into English, you are hooking the new vocabulary onto a pre-existing schema, drastically reducing the cognitive load. We mentioned something when we say activation of prior knowledge. See, this is something like that. So you are using in your favor something that they already have to understand and consolidate the language. What is the tip for you? Take a beloved local folk tale and tell it in simple English. Children already know the plot, so they can focus entirely on decoding a new language. It's going to be much easier for them to comprehend. And what is the last one of this group? Principle number 6. And that is one of I love and I always recommend to my pre-service teachers of English. Establish classroom routines in English. We talk about universal design for learning and lowering anxiety in episode 9 and 11. Routines provide the predictable, low-stress environment where learning thrives. As expert Lynn Cameron says, these daily interactions are prime opportunities for real communication. So create a daily routine. Start your classes always using the same and asking the same questions, and then you change according to what they have already learned. For example, create a hello and story time chant with TPR. You know that this ritual signals what's coming next, manages the class, and embeds functional language. So when you ask questions like what day is it today, what's the weather like today, etc. And that converts this in an authentic and repeated context. See? So the last three ideas, 4, 5, and 6, are connected to using the structural framework. The structural framework. But the last three ideas are connected to the power of community. Number 7, use mother tongue as a resource when necessary. I want to emphasize that because I totally believe it's possible to give a class completely in English if you use the right resources, TPR, visual things, and you connect with the cognitive development of your students. Of course, you know what they are able to do. So please, this principle, just L1 when is necessary. This is about cognitive efficiency. Why? Because for a complex idea or instruction, a quick translation in L1 can be more effective than a long and confusing pantomime in L2. See, it preserves valuable time and mental energy for practicing the core target language. And that mental energy is for you and for your students, of course. But please keep in mind that is 95% or more of the class is possible. It's totally possible to give that in English if you use the right methodology and resources, of course. What is a tip for you? Use L1 strategically to explain abstract phrases. For example, once upon a time. See? Then use the English phrase consistently thereafter. The goal is comprehension to facilitate communication and not a rigid English-only rule that might cause some frustration. See? The last three, so principle 8, 9, and 10, are connected to the community and the connection you should have to the community. Principle number 8, for example, recommends bring in helpers from the community. So invite them to the classroom. Number 9, collaborate with other teachers in your school, not just teachers of English, of course. And the last one, number 10, communicate with other teachers of English young learners, professionals. What we are doing in this podcast, I think we have to create a community. These final three ideas are about building what Dr. Shin calls the TEFL community triangle. Learning is a social endeavor. From Vygotsky perspective, learning happens through social interaction. So by bringing in guests, aligning with other teachers, and connected with a global community, you expand the community of practice for both you and your students. So invite a parent who speaks in English to read a story or any other kind of activity. Talk to the science or story, music teacher about their current unit and create a parallel vocabulary lesson, work together, and join in Teaching English to Young Learners social network group or forum. See? Sharing challenges and solutions keeps your teaching fresh and responsive. Okay, let's see these principles in action with a snippet for a theme on feelings. Idea number 4, so principle number 4, the theme. We start with the theme feelings, see? We connect with idea number 2, see? Students make realia. So we have students drawing faces, that are showing happy, sad, angry on paper plates to make masks or any other kind of resource you have in the classroom, of course. And idea number 1 is connected to movement and visuals. So we can sing a feeling song, we can use TPR, to create movements to represent this vocabulary, holding up our mask, of course, so we are connected to the second principle, of course. What else? Idea number 4, principle 5, not 4, familiar context. So we can read a story they already know that are connected to feelings or emotions. You can find something in your own culture, but there are some like the pout pot fish, for example. But you can connect with any story is familiar for them, of course. What about principle number 3, activity rotation? So that you have to move from activity to activity. So, for example, after the story, if you take 10 minutes, maybe we quickly move to a game. Also, you can connect with the 8th principle, could be led by a helper. So you can invite someone to this activity, and where we can act out the feelings for other guests, for example, or we can prepare something for guests. I don't know. And of course, establish routines, so you can connect this idea with number 6. And we close this segment with our routine goodbye chants, singing some songs connected to vocabulary. Remember that you can use the same melody and just change vocabulary, and they get used to practice vocabulary using that song. See how they build a cohesive, brain-friendly learning experience? That's totally possible. Okay, these 10 ideas are more than a checklist. They are a philosophy of teaching. They remind us that effective teaching English to young learners is a multisensory, structured, responsive, and deeply connected to community, of course. These principles empower us to be the facilitators and guides we've been talking about, creating conditions where the young and these malleable brains can best absorb a new language. And in a natural way. We haven't mentioned that before. That's a natural way of learning, our beloved natural approach. Okay, guys, next week we'll put a bow on this series by looking at, I can tell you, since I prepare my podcast every week, but I am sure it will be something to improve our knowledge and the quality of our teaching practices in the classroom. That is this podcast for. If one of these ideas resonated with you, please tell us which one of my social media. I'm in LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and I'm trying to upload my podcast to YouTube channel. That is Teaching English to Kids, a journey of fun learning. But I'm going to complete that channel also with some classes, maybe, for you in terms of methodology. You can find me by my name in social networks. My name is Paola Pant. And as usual, share this and the previous episode with your fellow English teaching professionals if you believe they can help your friends. Remember, great teaching isn't about a single magic method. It's about weaving together these timeless principles to create a tapestry of learning that is as vibrant and unique as the children you teach. So thank you, Dr. Joan Kang Shin, for these wonderful 10 principles that every teacher of English should keep in mind if they are teaching English to kids. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for following this podcast and listening to me every week. So I see you next week. Bye, everyone.